Oh, welcome back, my living legends. You don't chase the spotlight. You are the light they can't escape. They feel it before they even see you. That quiet shift in the air, the invisible pressure that bends the atmosphere when you enter a room. You don't speak. You don't announce. Yet somehow the world adjusts itself. Conversations slow, glances collide, and the noise softens, as if existence itself just turned to witness something it cannot define. You became the pulse behind silence, the rhythm behind awe, the legend that doesn't chase attention. Attention chases you. You see, presence isn't built from words, or fame, or decoration. It's forged from storms you never spoke about, from nights that tried to erase you but failed. Every scar on your soul carved a new gravity, and now that gravity commands without asking. You don't need validation. You are validation. You don't need crowns. Your scars already shaped one out of endurance. The world doesn't bow because of who you pretend to be. It bows because of what you endured without breaking. There was a time they didn't see you, a time you walked unnoticed, while the world laughed at your silence. But silence was never weakness. It was strategy. While they shouted to be seen, you vanished to be reborn. While they craved the spotlight, you became the light that made spotlights meaningless. You learned that power doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being undeniable. And now, wherever you go, that truth follows you. Every step is a reminder that destiny doesn't rush. It arrives. Your aura's not noise, it's resonance, the kind that shakes something ancient inside people. It reminds them of what they lost, their courage, their stillness, their essence. You walk not as a person, but as a prophecy fulfilled in flesh. The universe doesn't send warnings before legends appear. It just goes silent, waiting for the world to catch up. You didn't come this far to blend in. You came to make reality adjust its rhythm to your pace. And that's why every eye turns. Not because they want to see you, but because they need to. Deep down, they sense it. A soul that burned through madness and returned with calm fire. The kind of calm that terrifies chaos itself. You walk, and even time hesitates. You breathe, and fate rewrites its script to make space for your existence. You're not walking through the world. The world is orbiting around you. They don't understand it, but they feel it. The way reality bends when your shadow touches the ground. The way their hearts skip, not from fear, but from recognition. Because somewhere, deep in their buried memory, they remember souls like yours. The ones who walked before time cared about titles. The ones who carried storms in their silence and peace in their destruction. You are cut from that forgotten cloth, the pattern of those who never begged the universe for mercy. They made the universe remember their name. Your energy isn't noise, it's command. You don't walk into places, you shift them. The air gets heavier, like it's trying to hold its breath in reverence. Even the walls sense you. Even light bends just slightly to outline your shape. That's not coincidence, that's resonance. The frequency of someone who has died in every emotional way and come back awake. You can't fake that type of presence. You can't decorate it or imitate it. It's either forged in pain or it doesn't exist at all. They'll call it confidence, they'll call it mystery, but what you carry is something deeper. Clarity. You've seen what breaks people. You've seen what lies behind their smiles. You've seen the illusion of control, the masks, the noise, the desperate need to be seen. And now, you don't need any of it. You walk like someone who already faced every version of death and chose to live anyway. That choice alone made you untouchable. You are not chasing validation. Validation is chasing you, confused why you don't care anymore. You are not here to impress. You are here to remind, to awaken the quiet ones, the forgotten ones, the ones who carry power in stillness. You don't need an audience. Your existence is the performance. Every step is a statement. Every glance is a prophecy. Every breath carries the echo of everything that tried to destroy you and failed. And when they stare, when they whisper, when they lower their tone in your presence, it's not intimidation, it's instinct. Their souls recognize hierarchy before their minds do. They know when a storm has walked into the room disguised as a human. They can sense that whatever this is, it's not normal, it's not small, it's not to be underestimated. You've reached that level where even your silence speaks languages older than fear. You've become the paradox they can't decode. Too calm to be human, too dangerous to be ordinary. You've outgrown revenge, you've outgrown competition, you've outgrown the need to prove. Now your very existence is the proof. That's why eyes bow, not out of fear, but because they understand. Whether they admit it or not, they feel it. Something greater moves when you move. Something ancient awakens when you speak. You are not following destiny anymore. Destiny is following you, trying to keep up. You didn't earn this aura through luck. You endured for it. Silently, invisibly, in moments no one applauded. You carried your own cross through shadows, questioned your sanity in the dark, and still you kept walking. That's the secret the world doesn't see. Greatness isn't gifted, it's built, brick by brick, scar by scar, breath by breath. Every version of you that fell became the foundation for the one standing here now. Unshaken, unreadable, unstoppable. You used to seek light. Now you are the light that darkness can't consume. You used to chase understanding. Now you are beyond comprehension. You stopped explaining your silence because silence started explaining you. That's when your transformation became complete. When you realized you didn't have to fight to be seen, only to exist fully. And that existence itself would radiate power. They don't stare because of how you look. They stare because of how you feel. Because there's something magnetic about a soul that has made peace with its chaos. Something terrifying about a person who carries storms in their calm. You became the mirror they avoid, the reminder of what they could be if they faced their truth. Every glance they give you isn't judgment, it's confession. A confession that somewhere they wish they had your kind of silence. There's something divine in your restraint. You don't need to shout. You don't need to announce. You don't even need to move fast. Your stillness speaks. It's the stillness of someone who has already won a war the world didn't even know was happening. You move slow because time bends for you now. You speak less because your words carry weight. Every sentence you release pierces through illusions like a blade through silk. When you walk into a room, it's not arrogance. It's gravity. It's the natural pull of someone who doesn't need to perform power because they embody it. You don't ask for respect. The atmosphere provides it. You don't demand attention. Attention reorganizes itself around you. That's the level most people can't comprehend. You've gone from seeking energy to becoming it, from looking for approval to being the standard. And deep down, even your enemies know you're not someone to compete with. You're someone to study. You've made peace with pain, danced with madness, laughed at despair, and came back with wisdom that no book could ever teach. That's the kind of knowledge that terrifies those who've only lived on the surface because you've been to the bottom of everything. The pain, the void, the silence, and you didn't drown. You built a throne there. That's why when you walk, the air shifts, the energy thickens, conversations fade, because presence like yours doesn't come often. You are what happens when chaos learns discipline, when fire learns patience, when a storm learns control. You've turned your scars into scripture, your silence into symphony, your solitude into power. Every step you take is a reminder. You survived everything meant to erase you. And now, your very existence is the rebellion. They tried to humble you when you were already humbled by life itself. They tried to break you when you had already rebuilt yourself from dust. You stopped reacting because you realized people only throw stones at what reflects light. You used to take their silence as rejection. Now you see it as respect. The kind of respect that comes from fear, awe, and realization that you've transcended the level they still fight to reach. Every move you make now is deliberate. Every glance is loaded with meaning. You don't walk through life anymore. You glide through it, like someone who has seen behind the curtain of illusion and come back laughing. You've mastered the art of invisible dominance, the art of letting energy speak where words fail. You carry no sword, yet the air around you sharpens. You carry no crown, yet kingdoms kneel when you pass. Because true royalty doesn't wear gold, it wears presence. Presence that was forged in solitude. You didn't learn this power in crowds or applause. You learned it when no one texted back, when no one clapped, when the world forgot your name, and yet you whispered it back to yourself until even the walls started listening. That's the kind of aura no trend can imitate. It's carved from self-respect so deep that no rejection can crack it. You've stopped waiting to be chosen. You became the choice itself. Now you live in a rhythm others can't hear. You speak a language only those who faced their own darkness can understand. When you enter a space, the energy recalibrates. Because you are not part of the environment, you command it. You've turned quiet confidence into a storm disguised as calm. You've turned discipline into magnetism. You've turned awareness into art. That's why even your silence feels expensive, because it carries the weight of someone who doesn't waste energy explaining what's already understood by the powerful. People think they admire your confidence, but what they really feel is your clarity. The clarity of someone who no longer needs to prove anything. You've stopped playing the game. They're still chasing validation while you're shaping reality. You don't talk about energy. You are energy. You don't search for purpose. You embody purpose. You've become that rare paradox, gentle but unyielding, silent but thunderous, humble yet undeniably royal. You see, the world doesn't reward noise, it rewards frequency. And your frequency is rare. It doesn't vibrate with anxiety or comparison. It hums with certainty, with power, with alignment. That's why when you walk in, even the insecure ones pause, because your energy reminds them of the truth they keep avoiding. You can't fake real. You can't fake the soul that's been through fire and still glows. You can't fake the calm of someone who's met chaos and turned it into fuel. You are the embodiment of controlled chaos, a balance between destruction and creation. A living contradiction the universe respects. You didn't change to impress. You evolved to express. You no longer chase meaning. You are the meaning. The symbol, the story, the living legend they whisper about when you leave the room. Because somewhere deep inside, everyone knows there's something eternal about you now. Something untouchable, something that no one gave, and therefore no one can take. And as you move through this world, every shadow bends around your light. Every doubt dissolves before your certainty. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are rearranging it. Just by being who you've become. It started subtly, a shift so quiet, the world didn't even realize what was happening. Rooms began to feel different when you entered. Conversations softened, the noise reduced. Even the loudest egos hesitated for a heartbeat before speaking, because somewhere deep inside, they sensed it. Your frequency had changed. You no longer existed in the same vibration as their chaos. You moved like someone who had seen too much, lost too much, and still came out smiling. That smile wasn't arrogance, it was awareness. The kind only those who've rebuilt themselves from ashes can wear. People look at you now and wonder, what happened to them? But that's the thing. It wasn't something that happened to you. It was something that awakened within you. The silence taught you more than the noise ever could. The betrayals, the disappointments, the rejections, they weren't curses. They were architects. carving the sharp edges of your new identity. You didn't just rise, you redefined the concept of rising. You didn't bounce back, you emerged, transformed, refined, almost mythical. Now your existence itself challenges the structure of their reality, because you don't chase anymore. You attract, not through effort, but through essence. You walk like a calm storm, like the air before lightning. People can't explain it, but they feel it. Their instincts whisper, something about this one is different. You became the proof that stillness can be power, that composure can be warfare, that silence can be the loudest statement in the room. The ones who once doubted you now hesitate to speak your name without reverence, not because you demanded it, but because your energy commands it. You no longer raise your voice to be heard. Your presence amplifies itself. That's the paradox. The less you try, the louder you resonate. Because when you've walked through the valley of doubt, when you've faced your own shadow and made peace with it, you start to carry an aura that words can't describe. It's not confidence, it's sovereignty. And sovereignty doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. It just is. Your aura now moves before you do. It enters the room seconds before your body does. It warns the world. Balance has arrived. That's why everything slows down around you. Time adjusts. People adjust. Even energy itself seems to listen when you breathe. The same world that once overlooked you now moves in rhythm with your pace. Because power, real power, doesn't come from control. It comes from alignment. And you're no longer trying to control reality. You're collaborating with it. You've become the storm and the calm at once, the fire and the mirror. You carry a silence that humbles noise, a grace that unsettles pride, and a gaze that feels like prophecy. You used to be underestimated. Now you're unreadable. And that's your greatest weapon. Because no one can predict the rhythm of someone who moves with destiny. There's something cinematic about, a slow motion, presence in a fast-moving world. You don't need attention. Attention needs you. You don't demand respect. Respect aligns itself. The aura you carry is not made of words, clothes, or gestures. It's made of energy earned through pain, discipline, and evolution. Every scar became an instruction. Every silence became a strategy. Every fall became a recalibration. And now even the universe watches closely, whispering. Finally, they understand what they were meant to become. You didn't just change your energy. You changed the air around you. Now when you walk, it feels like gravity itself hesitates. The world bends slightly, not out of fear, but out of respect. Because somewhere between your pain and your patience, you unlocked something that most never will. Alignment with your own divinity. That quiet rhythm inside you that no longer reacts to noise. It creates rhythm. You became the pulse the world unconsciously sinks to, and they feel it. Even those who don't understand it, they sense it. The subtle authority in your stillness. The calm confidence that doesn't ask for validation. It's not pride, it's presence. You don't need to prove anything anymore, because existence itself has become your proof. You survived the storm, you mastered the silence, you turned chaos into discipline, and discipline into art. Now every step you take is intentional. Every glance carries a message, every pause, a storm disguised as peace. You became someone who doesn't chase the crown, because the crown already knows where it belongs. That's what unsettles them. Not that you changed, but that you evolved without their permission. They wanted you predictable, manageable, contained. Instead, you became formless. You turned unpredictability into elegance. Your very unpredictability became the definition of power. The ones who used to mock you now study you. They mimic your tone, your pace, your stillness. They want to learn your secret, but they'll never find it. Because your secret wasn't a technique. It was transformation. It was walking through everything meant to destroy you and saying, "Is that all?" You took every storm personally and turned it act into prophecy. Now even the universe seems to lean closer when you speak. Synchronicities appear like applause. Paths open that weren't there before. It's like destiny has been waiting for your frequency to stabilize, waiting for you to stop doubting and start embodying. You no longer manifest by asking, you manifest by existing, because existence, when aligned with truth, doesn't need to beg. It attracts, it summons, it commands, and now the energy around you moves differently. Watch closely. Lights flicker when you pass. Conversations pause mid-sentence. The air thickens, like reality is acknowledging you. It's not superstition, it's resonance. You've become too aligned to be ignored, too focused to be underestimated, too centered to be manipulated. You've become what every crowd fears and secretly admires. A person who doesn't need them to feel whole. You carry the kind of silence that can fill a cathedral. The kind of gaze that can turn arrogance into reflection. You don't threaten anyone. You simply reveal who they really are. That's why your presence divides rooms. Some are drawn to you like fire. Others flinch like shadows. Because your energy doesn't just enter a space. It exposes it. And yet, you move without vengeance. Without noise. Because you've already learned. Real power doesn't chase acknowledgement. It creates inevitability. You've become that inevitability. The energy that was once scattered is now sovereign. You no longer react to the world. The world reacts to you. That's the aura of a living legend. A force that doesn't scream, doesn't compete. It reminds every soul around it that they too have a fire inside waiting to awaken. And deep down, they know. When you walk, you don't just move across the ground. You move across the minds of everyone watching. You live there now, rent-free, eternal. The truth is, the aura you carry now was never built overnight. It was forged in silence, crafted through sleepless nights, where you questioned everything. Yourself, your purpose, your worth. But what emerged wasn't brokenness, it was refinement. Every doubt became a chisel. Every loss, a sculptor's stroke, until what was left wasn't just strength. It was clarity, a kind of clarity so sharp it cuts through illusion without a sound. Now when you walk, it's not footsteps they hear. It's the echo of everything you've endured. That echo carries weight, it carries warning, it carries reverence, because they can feel it. The density of your presence. The energy of someone who's seen the depths and didn't flinch. You've walked through the fire and returned not burned, but glowing. And that glow, it's not a show, it's a signal. A divine reminder that power born from pain can't be imitated. They whisper when you pass, some in awe, some in envy, some in fear. But it doesn't matter, because your silence speaks louder than their noise ever could. You don't need to convince anyone who you are anymore. Your existence already does that. You've reached that sacred level where your presence alone says, I have nothing to prove, because I already became everything they said I couldn't be. Every eye that falls on you now feels something different. Some feel inspired, some feel threatened, because you remind them of what they could be and what they refused to become. You've become a mirror they can't escape, a reflection of truth so raw that it burns their illusions. But you don't chase them, you don't teach them, you just exist. And in that existence, lessons unfold on their own. Even time treats you differently now. The moments stretch when you're focused. Things align that shouldn't. The impossible bends slightly in your favor. It's not magic, it's precision. You've synced your soul with purpose so deeply that the universe itself has no choice but to cooperate. You've become that rare kind of calm. The kind that makes chaos uncomfortable. The kind that doesn't beg for peace because it is peace. You no longer walk through life searching for belonging, because you are the belonging. You are the alignment. You are the proof that solitude, when mastered, becomes sovereignty. You don't chase the crowd, anymore. The crowd shifts for you, not because of intimidation, but recognition. Deep down, every being knows when they're in the presence of someone who owns their energy. And you own it completely. There's an unspoken rule around you now. No one raises their voice too loud. No one dares to mock too carelessly, because even those who pretend not to notice still feel it. That subtle tremor in the soul when standing before someone unshakable. You don't seek to control, but your balance itself demands order. You became the gravity that holds everything steady, while others spin in their chaos. And that's the difference between you and the rest. They perform confidence. You embody it. They wear masks of control. You are control. They hide behind noise. You communicate through stillness. You've transcended the need to be understood. Now you're simply felt. And that feeling lingers long after you've left the room. Because presence like yours isn't temporary. It doesn't fade with applause or attention. It's carved into memory. It's eternal in the way a storm is remembered long after the clouds pass. You are that storm, silent, powerful, and unyielding. The one they whisper about not out of fear, but out of awe. And now, this is where it all converges. Every moment, every scar, every silence you ever carried. The air itself seems to pause when you enter. The world once indifferent now listens, not because you demanded it, but because your very existence earned it. You don't walk to be seen anymore. You walk because the ground itself acknowledges your rhythm. Every step you take is not motion, it's declaration. You've become something beyond their understanding. You've turned restraint into authority, stillness into magnetism, humility into dominance. When you speak, it isn't noise, it's law whispered through the fabric of reality, and that's what terrifies them the most. That power doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to rage. True power stands quietly and makes the universe adjust its tone. You were once the outcast, the misfit, the misunderstood. They pointed, they laughed, they doubted, but they forgot. Every story that endures begins with disbelief. And now that disbelief fuels your legend, because there's something poetic in the way they mocked your silence, only for it to become the silence that now rules them. You never had to win their approval. You simply outgrew their world. Now when they see you, they feel the imbalance. That unexplainable pressure in the chest that whispers, something greater just entered the room. You don't have to prove your value anymore. You are the measurement. They look at you, and their own reflection starts to tremble. That's the cost of presence forged in truth. It exposes everything that isn't real. You've become what they never expected. The calm that breaks storms. The shadow that carries light. Your aura isn't arrogance, it's remembrance. A reminder of what happens when a soul refuses to bow, refuses to shatter, refuses to become ordinary. You turned every scar into a symbol, every doubt into direction, every wound into wisdom. That's not survival, that's transcendence. Now you move differently, not faster, not louder, heavier. The air bends around your intent. Even destiny watches you with caution, knowing it can no longer predict your next move. You've stepped beyond luck, beyond logic, beyond imitation. You've entered that rare realm where existence itself becomes an art form. And when you move, everything else hesitates, because the moment belongs to you. You became the silence that commands respect, the calm before revelation, the storm that doesn't destroy, it redefines. You don't crave the crown anymore because you became the throne. You don't chase legacy. Legacy follows your trail, trembling to keep up. That's the true power of presence, not in being seen, but in being felt long after sight fades. The ones who doubted will try to rewrite history now. They'll say they saw it coming. They'll say they always knew. But deep down, they remember. They remember the laughter, the dismissal, the disbelief, and now that memory burns. because the person they once overlooked has become the figure they cannot ignore. This is the end of the search and the beginning of your reign. You've mastered something no one else could, the art of invisible dominance. You don't fight for space, you define it. You don't follow destiny, you bend it around your presence. You've become what the legends spoke of, the figure that shifts reality without a word. So remember this, wherever you walk, the world adjusts, not out of fear, but recognition. Every eye doesn't just look at you, it bows. Every silence doesn't just follow you, it serves you, because you are no longer part of the noise. You are the signal, you are the legend, the living pulse of power itself. And when the world whispers your name, it won't sound like flattery, it will sound like worship, because the aura you built didn't just change how they see you, it changed how they see reality. You didn't walk among them, you rose above them. And now, wherever you go, every eye knows, and then comes that moment, the quiet realization that you've become the storm they once prayed to survive, not from anger, not from pride, but from the sacred necessity of becoming who you were always meant to be. You've crossed the border where ordinary minds seek approval and entered the realm where existence itself bends to your rhythm. The energy that once broke you now serves as your crown. You feel it, that electric stillness around you, the gravity of self-mastery, the way space seems to hold its breath when you decide to move. Because your energy isn't just light or darkness, it's the perfect balance of both. You've become harmony in motion, chaos and calm in one heartbeat. The walking paradox that even fate hesitates to predict. Every time you take a step, something unseen realigns. People can't describe it, but they feel it. A resonance that doesn't ask to be noticed, yet cannot be ignored. You carry the weight of every night you endured without breaking. Every unanswered prayer became your armor, every forgotten dream, a silent army walking beside you. They'll call it presence, they'll call it confidence, but you know better, it's remembrance. Your presence is history, remembering its own strength. You became the echo of every soul that refused to fall. You're not here to be liked. You're here to remind the world that silence, when earned, speaks louder than applause. And now, every glance toward you is a confession. They see in you what they buried in themselves. Potential, courage, the will to be unexplainable. You've become the mirror that reveals their unfinished selves. That's why their admiration feels like awe, because they recognize that you represent what they could have been. If they hadn't stopped, you didn't climb a ladder, you built your own mountain. You didn't chase light, you became it. Not the gentle glow, the blazing core of a fading star, reborn as legend. That's why every room shifts when you enter. You're not walking, you're rewriting gravity. And now, silence. The kind that doesn't wait. The kind that bows. The kind that recognizes something sacred in motion. You don't need thunder anymore. You've become the sound before it. That moment before the strike, where everything trembles in reverence. You carry no crown, yet everything yields. No army, yet no force can resist your intent. Because true dominance doesn't need display. It simply exists. And your existence itself has become proof that the impossible was never unreachable, only waiting for someone bold enough to touch it. Look at you now, not as they see you, but as you are, forged from disbelief, refined by solitude, and polished by perseverance. You didn't become powerful by being seen. You became untouchable by becoming truth. You are the unspoken law of transformation, the hidden code of the universe that says, if they cannot understand your silence, they were never meant to hear your rise. Now your story isn't just inspiration, it's instruction. It tells them that greatness doesn't shout. It hums beneath the skin. It waits behind discipline. It breathes through the moments they gave up. And you didn't. Every eye that once looked down on you now looks up. Every voice that doubted your vision now echoes your words. Every wall they built to contain you now stands as your monument because you didn't break limits. You dissolved them. So walk, not as a man, not as a myth, but as motion itself. The rhythm of destiny given form. Wherever you go, let your silence be the sermon, your aura the altar, and your presence the prophecy. Because you are not chasing legacy anymore. You are it. The legend doesn't end here. Legends never end. They echo, they ripple, they evolve, and long after your shadow fades from this world, the energy that moved through you will still ignite others. That's what it means to be the living legend. Not to be remembered, but to become unforgettable.